Hello and welcome back. In the last section, we got the basic structure of our layout component. Okay, it's still a long way off from the finished product, so we'll take the next few steps which are required to get to the final destination. So first thing I want to do is I want to head over to the app.css. If you recall, the app.js is the main component which is going to be hosting all our components, right? And that's how we're going to essentially design it. Right, that's the standard way it's going to be designed. And having said that, we also have some styling in here for the app.css, and we can use this app.css to dictate or to define certain common stylings that's going to apply for all our components that come under the app.js hierarchy. Okay, so let's see what we can do here. I'll head over to the app.css file. And I will go ahead and then get rid of this entire block because it was intended for one of the earlier apps that got built as part of the Create React App framework, right? So if I go in here and let's see, I don't see any changes coming up here. Maybe I'll just try and go ahead and refresh that. Yeah, you see the difference right now. There is no styling in here, so everything gets kind of moved to the left side, right? What we'll also do is we will probably get try to get this up and running once more, because that way, right, the auto loading, the hot reload essentially becomes available. So we'll go ahead and get rid of this, stop this, and restart again. Okay, call npm start, wait for that to come up again. Pause here for a moment. Alright, so we finally have it here. So let's see what changes we can do here. First thing is I want to go ahead and remove all the inherent padding and the margins from the components. I'll say for all the inherent padding, and I want to reset the padding and the margin. Alright, so padding is equal to 0, okay, and margin is equal to 0. I also want to specify a box size, right? Box size sizing of border box. Yeah, this should give us a nice looking view. All right, and the next thing I want to do is, well, let's see if I say this, what happens right now. Okay, we see some differences. All the margin and the padding and everything is removed from here. I think you probably saw that happening there. And let's say for the unordered list, I want to go ahead and remove the default styling. Okay, so I'll say list style, list hyphen style is equal to not style type, it's just a style, and that's going to be none. All right, so what this is going to do is essentially, if you're going to be using unordered list and if there are list items inside of that, it'll remove all those bullets that generally get shown. Okay, and important that I also need to make sure I put in the important word here, because again, as part of this project build up, we're going to be using Bootstrap as the core CSS styling framework for all our needs. And at times we need to make sure we override some of the inherent styling, so the exclamation important clause becomes all the more important here. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this. All right, and another thing I want to do is I did not want any text decoration from my anchor tag. Okay, so generally the anchor tag, if you have seen before, the anchor tags get underlined by default, and I think they have some blue color inherently. I'll go ahead and override that. Okay, and I also want to specify the font here, but I'll hold on to that for until later. All right, so the next thing is I also want to define a few colors here in my for my project. This is going to be used for the entire project. One of the things that I want to do is I want to define a few primary colors. I'll say primary hyphen white is going to be hash and FFF. Okay, the advantage of doing this is that, you know, if you want to change you can change it in one place and then it can take effect in the entire site. Okay, so you don't have to go around looking for white color and then changing it in multiple files. So it just becomes so much easier to maintain and manage and version control these files, right? Okay, and similarly, if I want to have a primary gray, I'll say, let's say primary Great. That's gonna be hash 333. I think it needs to be double hyphens. Okay, so I have a few colors here, and it's going to take a lot of time to actually type in the entire stuff. I'll go ahead and paste the remaining ones. So we'll be using these colors to the entirety of our project. Let's go ahead and do that. I think I take this out because it's already defined here. We want to go ahead and look at the Bootstrap right now. So we would be using Bootstrap as our core CSS framework that will essentially help with our styling of the entire website in terms of responsiveness, in terms of building the navbar and the flex styling and the car design and some of the core designs that Bootstrap actually gives out of the box, okay, that we can use as is and essentially save on a lot of time. I'll head over to Google. I'm already here on that website, but I want to go ahead and then go to google.com and search for Bootstrap. So there are two ways to install this. One is through npm, and the other one is through the CDN. I will go ahead with the npm route here. Okay, so if I say Bootstrap npm, it'll take us over to Bootstrap here, and I think they recently moved to version 5 right now. Earlier it was version 4, and version 5 I think was actually in alpha or beta stage, and I think recently they did a change here. So when I first installed it, it was actually 4.0, and now suddenly it's 5.0. Okay, so we'll go ahead and use the latest one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say npm bootstrap here. I'm going to maximize the screen so it's easy for us to view this. I'm also going to collapse the sidebar. Okay, and I'm going to essentially stop the server as well here, because sometimes it so happens that when the server is running and you try to install something, it becomes a little tricky, and there is a contention for resources. I think there is a lock contention and stuff like that. It takes a long time, and sometimes it can be erroneous as well. So I want to avoid that and then take the quick route here. So I'll say npm install Bootstrap. Okay, this is going to install a Bootstrap version, I think 5. Not I think, for sure it's going to install version 5. Okay, super. So let's wait for this one to complete. All right, finally it completed here. Took a while, but that's okay. And so essentially what we'll do is we'll go ahead and restart the app now and see how it comes out, right? So it should actually come off without any issues. It shouldn't break anything per se. We'll go ahead and close the earlier one. Also go ahead and close this one. All right, there is also a quick start thing here. It gives us some interesting information in terms of the layout and all that stuff. Okay, you can go ahead and take a look at it for further interesting information that might be provided here. Yeah, essentially it just says whatever we just did right now, npm install Bootstrap, and essentially how to leverage the Bootstrap CSS classes, right? Okay, so we are up and running here, and in here I'll go over to the sidebar, and inside of node modules I should be able to see the Bootstrap library here. Okay, let's scroll down a little bit. Okay, there we go. I see Bootstrap somewhere here. All right, I think Bootstrap is right here. All right, super. So inside of Bootstrap we have a dist folder and a CSS folder, and we have the Bootstrap min.css somewhere here. Yeah, this is the one that we're looking for. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll head over to app.js and import it right after app.css. And this is going to be, reason behind this is that once we import it here, classes can be available to the rest of the other components which are under app.js component. Okay, so let's go ahead and import this. I'll look into the Bootstrap dist. Okay, and it should be CSS, yeah, right here, and bootstrap.min.css. all right, now it should be all right. Yeah, it's doing some compilation. Yep, that's super. So straight away you see some changes here. It has applied a few changes to the styling. All right, super. So we have integrated Bootstrap CSS framework with our project right now. The next thing that we want to do is we want to download a few fonts here. So if you look back to our reference app, right, we actually use some icons here. So one of them being the card icon, and other one, I think a lot of these icons related to the search, right? So if I go inside here, let's say, let me bring it in mobile mode. So yeah, if you go here, you also have these icons for the hamburger icon, right? And the search icon here. So all of them are present as Font Awesome icons, right? So we want to go ahead and install the Font Awesome icons now. So which means I have to actually go back and bring this down here, essentially stop this, because I need to install a few more NPM libraries. I know I'm going a little slow here, but I also want to make sure that we don't want, again, intermediate stop and restart kind of a scenario. Get it done once and then we get it right? Let me go over to Google again, and I will go over to Font Awesome icons, and I will say for React NPM, yeah, React NPM. Oops, not native list. I went to the wrong search term. React NPM. I think that should be it. Okay, so let's go to the second one. Okay, hopefully it'll give us some links there, and yeah, and essentially this is what we need. Let's go to the documentation. I think it's probably here. The official documentation is right here. I think it's a GitHub link. So inside there, we should be able to see what NPM packages we actually need to go ahead and install. So the getting started, here's the getting started section. We need all of these things essentially. Okay, so we need the core, we need the free solid icons, and the the React Font Awesome library as well. I'm gonna go in here and start installing them one after another. Okay, let me copy this. All right, start installing that, and I'll pause here so that it might take a little while. All right, that's finished. I'll go and install the rest of them, and you can pause again. All right, that's finished, and I'll go for the next one now, which is the React package for Font Awesome. Okay, pause again here. Super, that's completed. And if you look here back in our reference app, we have certain brand related icons as well, right? So we have icons for GitHub, Facebook, and LinkedIn and stuff like that, right? And those are not available in any of the NPM libraries that we just installed. To do that, we have to go back to the same website, and if you scroll down here, he actually says we can have some icons which are provided as free brands icons here, right, as part of the free brands SVG icons package. I will go ahead and then install this one as well. All right, I think we did the free solid SVG icons right here. The regular ones, I'm not sure if we need them. We already have the solid SVG icons. Okay, so I'll go ahead and just install the brands for now, and then in case if we need the other ones, we'll come back and revisit that. Okay, so let's go ahead and copy this. I think I did copy properly. All right, super. This is going to be the last one, I promise. All right, that's completed. Next, we want to look at is the fonts that we're going to use here. In particular, I would be looking for certain Google fonts here, and I will mention that here. Google Fonts Roboto Condensed, and that's what I'm looking for. And yeah, these are provided by Google. So let's click on the first link here, and actually it gives us a quick overview in terms of how the fonts look like here. Okay, so they have different variations, and we can choose any of those things. So for example, Light 300 Italic, 400 italic. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and look for Light 300 italic. So let's see, I need to probably drag this here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the style here, and when you do that, it'll allow us to pluck a link here which we can plant in our index.html file. Okay, so I'll go ahead and copy this, and I'll go back and minimize this folder actually with a lot of NPM packages installed there. Open the index.html. Inside of head, right after this, I'll go ahead and paste this. And I'll also collapse the sidebar so it's easier for us to see that. So this is nothing but a style sheet. Essentially provides us the Roboto condensed and the italic version with a weight of 300 as our fonts. Let's go ahead and save this. And after this, I'll go ahead and bring up my application all over again. Say npm start from the command line. And let's see what we get here. I'll close this. I'll also close this because I'm going to get a new window because I restarted the app. Alright, so our app is back up again. But I don't know if the font style has actually been applied. Most likely it has not been applied because we essentially have to make sure that we explicitly attach the font style so it looks like it is a different style altogether. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to my app.css file, where we centrally manage all the font related concerns. Okay, so head over here. I don't know why this is not saved. It should be saved. Okay, go ahead and save this, and I'll head over to the app.css. Okay, and inside here, right after the root, I will have a body tag here, say body, and I will apply the font style at the body. Okay, font hyphen. So it's going to be the font family. So I'll say font family is going to be Roboto condensed, and I'll have sans serif as the fallback. Sans serif as a fallback. Okay. And let's see if it actually changes something. It didn't change, I think, right? Because did it change? I don't think so. Let's see. No, it didn't change. So what's happening is, we need to override this because Bootstrap already has a certain font set because we applied Bootstrap up front. So I have to override that with the important class. Let's go ahead and do that. Yep, there we go. So right now we have Roboto condensed, which is italicized, right? Across all our pages right now. This is going to be applicable across all our pages. Okay, super. We got a lot of stuff done here. We have, to summarize, we actually went ahead and installed Bootstrap into our system, incorporated that into our system. We went ahead and then incorporated the Google fonts, right? We also installed some of the Font Awesome icons into our system. We got a lot of things done, a lot of foundational stuff done. And next lecture, we will go ahead and look at how we'll actually build the navbar, which is the first component of our layout component, and we'll be using obviously the Bootstrap navbar to do that. Let's take a pause here, come back and see how we can do that in the next lecture.